The story this year has been a lot of wind, quite a bit of rain, and somehow it's starting to finally warm up in the sense the water temperatures are starting to creep up into the low 70s. And to me, that's bottom bouncer and spinner season. And I tell you what, if you're just looking to catch fish, a lot of people, I mean, if you look at creel surveys, if you look at angler opinion polls, a lot of people just want to go out and catch a bunch of fish, especially if they're the type of fish that you can eat. For just going out and catching walleyes right now, it's really difficult to beat a bottom bouncer and spinner. So we're going to show you a couple of tips, a couple of tricks for catching more walleyes with bottom bouncers and spinners. Incredibly useful tool, and it's something that anybody can do. It's easy for kids, it's easy for beginning anglers, and I don't care how much you fish, when you're holding onto that rod and that walleye doubles that rod down, that is fun stuff. Now these Eye-Candy leeches, the Riggin Leech, that's what we're using here today. And if you've been following our show, we use the Eye-Candy a lot. We've been using it for the last few years. We've been testing prototypes for probably about 3 years. We've been testing the leech for about 3 years. Basically just get the action right, the profile right, the weight right, just so it has the right action, especially behind a spinner harness. Very durable, and you can catch several fish on one. And if you have these in the boat, you're in the game. There we go. There's no doubt in your mind when these fish hit, there's no feeding these fish line, there's no wondering if you got bit. These fish just smack it. Not much better. Now when it comes to this bottom bouncer and spinner program, you know, if you're on a natural shallow dish bowl lake, you can't go wrong just focusing on the outside edge of the weed line. And as the summer progresses, that weed line gets really pronounced where you can see the weeds, and basically you're just tracing along the outside edge. When it comes to weeds, if you can find locations where there's weeds and rock together, it seems like it makes the spots that much better. But it doesn't matter if you're running points on a reservoir or if you're fishing weed lines like on a natural lake like we're here today. Bottom bouncer and spinner just enables you to just cover real estate, enables you to cover water and find fish and contact fish. And then not only is it a great way to find fish, but it's a great way to trigger fish. Again, this isn't finesse fishing. We're going 1.5 miles an hour at times, but I would say bottom line would be 1 to 1.2 miles an hour up to 2 miles an hour. And so use speed, get that spinner humming, get that spinner humming. You have to fish these fast. And when fish loads up on that rod, I mean, the fish hook themselves. And so easy fishing, but use speed to trigger these fish. And so even like with the snell, you know, don't be hesitant to use a heavier snell. A lot of times we're using 14 to 20 pound test mono on our main snell just to keep that spinner from twisting up at these high speeds. There we go. That feels like a nice one. Boy, these fish hit it so hard at times. It's that time of year, you know, these starting to get some algae bloom, water starting to stain up. Still finding fish less than 10 feet of water, but as that water greens up and gets some color, it's tough to beat a bottom bouncer and spinner, you know, just for catching fish. If you just want to come out and catch some fish for the live well, this here is a high batting average. So I'm using a line counter reel, just a low profile line counter. You get these at Shields. And I like these for bottom bouncers. Now you don't need a line counter for finding bottom. You just find bottom, drop it down, hit bottom, let out a little bit more line until you're running at about a 45-degree angle. And I'm running about 1.3, 1.4 miles an hour with these spinners. But what I really like the low profile for is if you're running multiple rods, multiple anglers, where you can keep the rods staggered, where you basically keep the person in the front from letting out too much line where they're tangling up with the people in the back. And so just an efficiency. That's a good one. That's a good one. They just smack these so hard. Oh yeah, beautiful walleye. Yeah, they just stop it. I don't know of a better way to just catch walleyes right now than this. There we go. They are chunky fish. Get her out of the net here. And that's the thing, is you can catch several fish on one plastic. There. These are just beautiful fish. Catch a bunch of walleyes like that, that's a good day. It doesn't get any better. And so especially at faster speeds when you're pulling harnesses, you know, you don't necessarily need a night crawler or a leech. I'm not saying it replaces live bait, because there's times where that's what the fish want. But what I find day in and day out, you can't go wrong, especially when you're pulling, you know, anywhere 1.2 miles an hour or faster. These fish don't have a lot of time to inspect anything. They're just looking for profile, flash, water displacement, just something that looks good to eat. And so you can see here, this is the rigging leech. You can see how stretchy that is. Very limber. Awesome action on a harness where it just flutters, it just comes alive. Very durable. You can see here how much you can pull on it. Catch several fish on one leech. Great action. And they also do absorb scent really well, so you can soak it and gulp alive. I've been using ProCure. I find at the faster speeds you don't have to scent them at all. Cold water, slow speeds, that's where I have a tendency to soak them and where I've actually seen, you know, results from that. But warmer water temperatures here, where the water temperature is past 70 degrees, we're pulling these at 1.3, 1.6 miles an hour. Just hook them right on the nose and just let them flutter, and these walleyes eat them.